Welcome to our St. Luke's Health Talk series, where we bring virtual live opportunities to you, our community members and employees. If you want to find additional offerings, please check out stluke'sonline.org/health talks. I'm Sarah Hickerly, and I'm with St. Luke's Community Health. I'm a program coordinator, and I'm here to introduce our speaker and go over some quick housekeeping information slides. We have a disclaimer. The information in our video should not be construed as medical advice. The video is property of St. Luke's and will be made available to you for a short time for educational purposes. Can you pop to the disclaimer slide, Eren? Thank you. There's our disclaimer. And our housekeeping slide. Today, we will have access to the Q&A for you to ask questions. And if you want to pop to that next slide, there is a Q&A icon at number 1. It's very tiny. And you click on that, click on Ask a Question at number 2, type in your question, and then click the airplane to send and post your questions. And moderators will look at those and post them as we go. And most of the questions we'll answer in the end at a Q&A time. And today our health talk is called A Sprinkle of a Movement. And we are so fortunate to have Eren Barker. Eren facilitates movement programs for all employees at St. Luke's. And they are working to build a culture of empowerment for our community to move our bodies and avoid sedentary behaviors. She is here today to help us learn how to do that ourselves. Eren is a certified strength and conditioning specialist. She has a master's in applied kinesiology and physiology, and recently became a certified health coach, which is wonderful. Welcome, Eren. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, well, thank you, Sarah. I always get kind of nervous when people start telling your background and you just think, oh gosh, that person they're talking about seems so awesome. And then you're like, oh gosh, that's me. So I hope I live up to the hype today. I'm really excited to be with you guys as well. So I always like to start out with our game plan. So I'm an athletic trainer by trade. So I'm a big sports girl. So we're going to start with a move because I want to show you how easy it is to get your 30 minutes of physical activity today. So I'm not sure our talk will take the full hour, but I am surely going to try to put as much of that 30 minutes I can in this talk today. So we're going to do some stretching, some moving, some grooving, and it'll be fun. We're going to talk about the foundation of physical fitness. Why would we want to do physical activity? Why it's important to move throughout our day. I think a lot of times when folks take on movement or movement-related activities, it's always because, oh, I need to lose weight, or oh, I just want my body to look this way. But the reality is there's so many benefits as to why we should move our bodies. So I'm hoping I can give you some words of wisdom as to taking away the stigma and the excuses and the I can't and the I only if I, and we can really create a foundation for making this part of our day. We're going to get some examples of movements that you can do during your day. We're going to move again. So if you thought you were going to get out of this today, you're not. But don't worry, everything we do today can be modified, adjusted, or substituted. Please don't think that something I'm giving you today is the end to be all. I want you to move in a way that feels good for your body. I'm going to give you an exercise prescription, right? So I think it's important that we set a goal, right? What's a reasonable amount of activity to get during our day? How do we do this? How do we meet that goal? And then we're going to end with a movement, and then we'll open it up for some questions at the end. So exercise is a celebration of what your body can do, not punishment for something you ate. Guilty, right? I don't know if anybody else in the audience is like, oh, I have to go work out because I ate that pizza. False. You do not have to work out because you ate the pizza. You get to work out because it makes your body feel better, whether you eat the pizza or not. So with that, I'm actually going to stop sharing for a minute and we are going to move together. So if you're not already standing, go ahead, join me. Please stand. You are welcome to do this seated if you want to. I just find that anytime that I can stand up in my day, I try to. So that's one really easy way to move, right? How many of us are guilty of just sitting for a long time? So let me grab my timer, because I told you I was going to try to hit our full 30 minutes. So I'm going to make sure I hold true to that. And let's go. Let's just start nice and easy with some gentle stretches. So we're going to come up and out of that center and maybe just swaying side to side, maybe kind of tipping your hips up and out. I didn't quite wear the right shirt for this activity today, but you know, this is proof that no matter what you're wearing, you can definitely do some type of movement. And go ahead and tip over to one side of your room. Just noticing how your body moves, right? Noticing that side body stretch, whatever feels good here. Lifting up and out of that center, breathing and tipping a little deeper. Go ahead, take it over to the other side. Again, just noticing, not judging, right? You're just feeling that nice little side body stretch. Feels so good. Adding a little bit of oxygen to the body, to the blood flow. Coming back up through center, go ahead and bring those hands and arms open, right? So we're going to be open and accepting for the information that we get today. So we're going to open up our heart space to be a receiving of that good energy that we're going to put out there in the universe. And take those hands behind you. Okay. So we're just, again, opening up the chest. We are all guilty of the smartphone addiction, right? And the computer typing where everything we do is kind of hunched over and rounded. So anytime that we can just sitting up a little straighter, right? Dropping those shoulders back into those back pockets. And go ahead and start to work with me. So we're going to come up and down. So little wall angel here. So this is something that you can do no matter where you're at, right? Whether you're sitting at work, whether you're waiting in your car for your pick your kids up from school. This is a really simple exercise to just open up that chest and really start to strengthen that posterior chain. So our rhomboids and our lower middle trap and our back muscles are so powerful. And when we can keep those strong, there's actually so many benefits from the front side of our body. Headaches, all that stuff can be minimized. So keep it going. You're starting to hopefully feel a little bit of that tension in the shoulders. You're thinking, ooh, those shoulders are moving a little bit here. Feels kind of good. Okay, we're going to take this over to some arm circles. So I always giggle a little bit when I do arm circles because you think, oh boy, that's so simple. But if you do them for a minute, you're like, ooh, that kind of gets you. So go ahead and make them a little bit bigger. You can do these alternating. You can do them together, what feels good for you. 10 more seconds here. I hope you guys are feeling this as much as I am. Feels fired up already. Go ahead and switch those directions. So I'm going back to those small ones, right? So again, this is all for you. You can choose to do this activity. You can choose to do something else. Sometimes just even stretching a little bit. Go ahead and make them a little bit bigger. Might find that the cadence is starting to slow, and that's because our deltoids are working and they're probably getting fatigued, right? We've been working for about 45 seconds here in this space. Doesn't seem like a lot, but even this 45 seconds is doing something for your mind and for your body, which is way cool. A few more seconds. Woo! I promise we're going to stretch them out. Okay, go ahead and shake them out. So switching over to that lower body a little bit here. Whew, feels so good. I like to get the wiggles. So I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, and actually I think they started doing this in my son's class. They're like, get your wiggles out. Just go ahead, wiggle. Any disorganized movement feels good. Okay, so standing on one leg, I want you to imagine that you're climbing over a fence. So you're going to just start to step over that hurdle, stepping over that fence, engaging the glutes. Nothing crazy, just kind of lifting it up, right? We're just getting some nice blood flow back to those hips, to those glutes. Maybe go ahead and change directions. I purposely wore my bright orange pants today so that you guys wouldn't lose me on this thing. You'd be like, oh, I can see her. Keep going, keep going. A few more seconds here, right? We're just lifting, we're balancing. So our working leg here, the stability leg, is still working in that glute to hold our pelvis center. And our opposite glute med is working. So we're going to go ahead and switch sides. So I always like to start forward. You don't have to. Again, this can be substituted. If this is too much, maybe on your hips, feel free to balance on something, right? You can always hold onto a chair or something like that. Or you can even just lift it up, right? Even just that little bit of lifting is still focusing on that glute. Take your hands out for balance. I always like to put my hand on my hip so I can really feel that muscle working. Go ahead and switch directions. Right, we're just getting a little blood flow back to those glutes. A little oxygen, right? Heart rate's getting up. You might be feeling that warmth already. Anytime we use our big muscles, our glutes, our quads, our hammies, it's a great opportunity to get a little blood flow, right? We get blood flow back to our brain. So if you're ever feeling tired, right? We've only been doing this for less than 5 minutes, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm already feeling more energized and awake. We've got 5 more seconds here for 3, 2, and one. Beautiful. Okay, so taking those hands back up again. Exhale, we're going to take a big forward fold, this time letting that head hang heavy. Maybe just starting to pedal out the knees, right? So one knee, then the other, bending one knee, bending the other knee. Just again, noticing that tension. Do you have tension in the calves? Do you have tension in the hamstrings? Are you able to drop your head a little bit lower, right? Getting a little bit more blood flow back in that brain. Breathing through it. It doesn't have to be extreme, just a little knee bend here and there. Feels so good. We're going to come all the way up overhead. Nice big good morning. So reaching down toward those toes up to the sky. These are called good mornings because when you do them first thing in the morning, you say, hey, this feels pretty good. I'm starting my day with some joy. Let's do it. Bending, straightening, right? We're getting the whole system working now, stretching all those nerves, all those fibers, muscle tissues, letting all those cells in our body start to flow a little bit here. A couple more seconds. You guys are doing awesome. For 3, 2, 1. Okay, so join me here. It's going to look a little funky because I'm not holding on anything. But I want you to go up on your toes and then down on your heels. So up on the toes, down on the heels. So you're going to try to hold it at the top and come back down. So hold and down, right? Such a simple movement. But again, we're working that gas jack. That gas jack is so strong. We're also, if we're being intentional, squeezing that quad a little bit, right? We're lifting that kneecap up. It's so simple, and yet such a strong move. You're doing awesome. Couple more. Stick with me. Okay, we're going to get even simpler. We're going to start to do some head nods. So yes, right? Shaking our head, chin to chest, chin to sky. Chin to chest, chin to sky. Perfect. When you're ready to switch it over, let's go ear to shoulder on both sides. Right, so lifting up out of that center, moving that neck. A few more seconds here. Just noticing, not judging. You might notice some asymmetries. And go ahead and put that chin looking over that shoulder, right? Working that whole range of motion. Our neck is so cool, so powerful. So whole body action here. Couple more seconds. Cool. We're going to end with some nice wrist rolls, rolling them out. Right, maybe a little forearm stretch, nothing crazy. Awesome. Go ahead again, shake it out. All right, you are welcome to have a seat, relax, chill out. Let's jump back in. So I'm going back to sharing our screen here. Okay, so exercise is a celebration of what we can do. I always like to start from the beginning. So let's talk about physical fitness. Let's level set what we know about physical fitness. Physical fitness, as you can read right there, is good health and strength achieved through exercise. Okay, that seems fair enough. And then if you go a little bit further, we can see that there's two types of physical fitness. So you have your general fitness, right, which is your state of health and well-being. And I love this because I think a lot of times we forget the mental and emotional aspects of fitness, right? There's so much that goes into that. So fitness is categorized, including those general health and wellness things that allow us to do function at that level. And then you have specific fitness, which is more of your ability to perform a skill or a sport or a job task or duty that requires maybe more agility, balance, coordination, those kinds of things, right? That makes sense. Feels reasonable. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. Hold on. There we go. So, interesting. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there, I promise. Okay, so if we break those components down a little bit further, so our health-related fitness, again, those components of body composition, right? Our muscle, fat, bone, bone density, water weight, all of that stuff is made up, right? That's your body composition. So we know that lean muscle weighs more, and we know that how our body is composed impacts our fitness, right? People that have more muscle tend to be stronger, that sort of idea there. You have your cardiovascular endurance or cardiorespiratory endurance. So your ability to breathe and function over time, right? So that's your circulatory system, your heart and your lungs working together at capacity. You have flexibility, the extensibility of your tissues to stretch. That includes joints, tendons, ligaments. There's a little give in some of those tissues, but as well as your muscles. You have your muscular strength, so the capacity for your muscles to do work. You have muscular endurance, which is your capacity for your muscles to do work over time. And then you have power, which is how strong you are at a given speed. We're going to get into this a little bit further, so don't worry. And then you have our skill-related fitness. So I mentioned that before. You have your balance, your agility, coordination, reaction time, and then how quickly you can do a task. So when you think about an athlete doing a sport, like a pitcher, for example, right? There's so much that goes into being able to throw a pitch, bringing that, arm cocking back, coming over and finishing, and the follow through and the fancy leg coming up, or, think about a bowler that's got the nice leg sweep, right? All of those are skill related fitness things that take into account your health related fitness, right? Body comp, flexibility, muscular strength, muscular endurance are going to go into those skill related things, but there's more to it. It's coordinating, it's how to get those systems to work together to perform a given task. Okay, so most of us, I think, can appreciate the benefits of regular exercise, right? This isn't new information. At least I hope it's not new. And if it is new, that's okay. I want to just make sure that you have a foundation for this. And if this is familiar to you, awesome. Then let's make sure we just hammer it home. So we know that exercise improves your mood. I have a quote coming up here. It's one of my faves. That'll give you a hint. Whenever you see the green screen, it means we're going to move our bodies. You're one workout away from a better mood. Oh, yay, that just stinks, doesn't it? So if you're ever feeling down, you're ever feeling frustrated or angry, man, the first thing I want to do is go work out. Not really in the moment, right? We have to get over that hump of saying, oh, I'm just going to do it. But you release all these endorphins, right? Moving your body just makes you feel better. And I used to joke when I used to be a big time runner back in the day. Now I'm a cyclist. I converted over. But I would run when I was angry because I was like, well, I'm too tired to be angry anymore, right? I'm too fatigued to care about that thing that was bothering me. Not always seemed to work for me. So maybe you can hold on to that if you need a little bump in your step. It can boost your energy, right? So if we're feeling kind of, I don't know if you guys have been there, right? It's been a long day. You just had the rundown today, and you're just tired. Doing a quick bout of exercise is a great way to get all those cells moving, right? So we can bring our blood flow back to our brain. We can get some cells zipping and rolling around, and that's going to naturally give you some energy to focus on your tasks, even just general energy, right? You can feel more alert, more awake. So when I think about the application of this, we want to be safe and focused. And if we're feeling tired and fatigued, a quick little exercise or movement is a great way. Even that little stretch that we did here just a few minutes ago, I don't know if it's the sweat that gets you going, but definitely makes you feel more alert, which is super helpful for you. We know that the benefit of regular exercise is preventing disease, right? There are so many diseases that can be prevented by exercise, which is phenomenal. Even some cancers, right? Cardiovascular disease, heart disease, all of the big killers in the United States, in the world, really can be impacted by regular exercise. And there actually was a study that just came out earlier this, I want to say this quarter, so fairly recent, that shows that one time, even if you exercise one time for just a few minutes, you are already going to see some benefits of doing that exercise, right? Your cells are going to naturally change. Now that change might not be sustainable, right? You're not going to see that benefit for a month from now, but in that time, you are absolutely going to decrease your heart rate. You're going to decrease your all sorts of stuff. And so it's really important that if disease is important to you and living a long, healthy life is important to you, let's try to move our bodies. Obviously, we talked about the components of physical fitness. So regular exercise can definitely increase your physical fitness, right? It can improve your cardiorespiratory health. So the ability for your blood to circulate more effectively. It can include your power. It can improve your muscular strength. So if we're training those muscles are going to get stronger. If we have more lean body mass, we're going to be more effective in, all sorts of things, but certainly our overall health, but our body habitus, right? Our sleep is going to be improved, which brings us to our next one. Exercise is phenomenal for improving sleep. Sleep is one of the number one feedback things that I hear from our clients, from our employee population, and from people that I work with out in the community. I just wish I could sleep more. And one of the first things I ask is, are you getting regular time outside, right? There's something about sunlight that helps reset that circadian rhythm. And the second is, are you moving your body? And it's not just from a sense of fatiguing those cells out so that they need to rest and recover, which is definitely part of it, right? Sleep allows us to recover those cells and regenerate them. But it's more than that. We're releasing our hormones, right? We're decreasing our cortisol levels. And all of those things can help us improve our sleep, which is really important. So you are one workout away from a better mood. Oh, I just love that. So that's my ticker, right? Let's move our bodies. Let's do it. Stop sharing. Okay. Are y'all ready? So if you're not standing, okay, this time we are going to get our heart rates up a little bit more here. Again, anything that I give you today, please modify or substitute. There is something that I'm telling you or doing that you're like, that doesn't feel good for my body. Awesome, cool, no sweat. There might be a little sweat. Change it out. Do something that does. Okay, so we're going to take this one a little bit different. So I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling a little bit warmed up still from my last time. So we're going to take this up a little bit quicker here. So a little march. So nothing crazy, right? We're just pulling that knee to your chest. If you're doing this seated, again, you can keep that march going in the chair, or you're welcome to sub this out for something else. Ooh, sweating from the last time. Really going to be sweating after this one. Okay, now we're going to take this march, and it's going to be a march hold. So again, we're just kind of warming up that body here, right? We're working on those hip flexors, staying upright in our chest and our posture. Anytime that we can incorporate balance into our movements, I'm here for it, right? There's been lots of studies that show that working on balance is phenomenal for our mental health, particularly in the prevention of Alzheimer's and dementia, which is pretty powerful. So if there's moments where you can sprinkle in a little balance, I say go for it. Brushing your teeth is a great one. Okay, we're going to start to change this up here. So we're going to take this down into a lunge. Just a simple back lunge, nothing crazy. So when we do a back lunge here, really want you thinking about you're kind of like a carousel horse. So chest is remaining upright, and you're coming back over that back knee. So the front knee is staying protected and strong, right? We're not leaning into that front knee. We're really allowing our body to move with us. A few more seconds here. You guys didn't know you're going to get a full workout in today, did you? Okay, perfect. We're going to take this into a squat and a press. So squat and press. Again, having the option to just take that squat if that feels good. You can take it as a quarter squat. So if you're new to squatting, right? Just want to keep those hips back, weight in the heels. As you're getting warmed up, take it a little bit deeper. And always having that option to add that press, right? So you can take those hands up overhead. It's a great opportunity to incorporate an upper extremity exercise with a lower one. Feels so good. A couple more right here. You're doing awesome. Breathing through it. And you notice you're already dropping a little bit lower. Love it. I wish I could see your guys' faces. 10 more seconds here. We're going to switch it out. So stay with me. You got this. Again, making those adjustments, right? If it doesn't feel good to drop low, don't. You're just trying to move your body. Okay, we're going to take this over to a curtsy lunge. Okay, so you're coming behind that body. And the key here with this curtsy lunge is I really want you to focus on keeping that front knee protected, right? If you're a dancer, you're opening it up. Sounds good. Getting your hip hop moves on. All my dancers on the call are feeling powerful. If you're not into a curtsy lunge, you can go back to that traditional lunge. We can always sub it out for something else that feels better. 3, 2, 1. Okay, this time we're going to get into more of a bent posture. So keeping those hips tucked under. So we're in this nice deadlift position. Hands are going to come out in front, and you're going to row those wall angels back down, okay? So you're squeezing those shoulder blades, but we're doing it in this 45-degree plane because I want you to really engage that core. So you're lifting up out of that center, squeeze and up. A few more seconds here. Ooh, it always feels so good. We're going to switch it up here in just a few seconds. Stay with me for 3, 2, 1. So same in that deadlift position. I'm going to challenge you now to go a single leg. So back to our balance. You're welcome to keep those toes down. So I'm going to pull this down here a little bit. The toes come back. It's okay if you touch the ground, or if you're ready to take it to a hinge, you're going to come up and down. Okay, so you're hinging at that waist. And the key here is I really want you to challenge keeping those hips square. We have the tendency to want to open it up. I want to challenge you just, right, it's a small movement. We're just lifting that back leg up, drawing it back in, squeezing that glute, squeezing that hammy, staying upright. Few more on this side. We're going to switch it over, work in that balance. You guys are looking so strong, so good. For 3, 2, and 1, go ahead, switch legs. Again, having that option, right? You can just do this as a little slide. You don't have to lift the leg up, but when you're ready, go ahead and try it. Challenging that hip. I always like to draw my, if my left leg is down, I try to draw my right hand toward my toes because it reminds me to keep my hip and my pelvis forward. You guys, we're already halfway through. You've already done 15 minutes of physical activity already on this call. Isn't that amazing? You're already halfway toward your goal for today. Whew. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it more. For 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and go back to our squat. This time, maybe you open it up a little bit wider, so a little bit more of that sumo squat style. Again, if you're wearing a skirt or a dress, sorry, I didn't tell you that in advance. So go ahead and come down and up. You want to take it as a prisoner squat. So you totally can. The hands are going to come up toward the head. It's going to allow that core to work a little bit higher. If it feels good to keep the shoulders out in front, awesome. I just want you to open those hips up, really challenging that glute to stay up and lifted. Looking so good, so strong. I always like to bring my hands to heart center. It's the yogi in me. You're welcome to take this in whatever way feels good for you. Doing so good. Breathing through that tension. We're going to have a little fun with this next one. So I'm not giving up our squats just yet. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and bring those hips in a little tighter. This time it's going to be a squat, pulse, back up. So squat, pulse, back up. That's it. That's the whole move. I love squat variations. Squats are a power move, right? They work on multiple muscle groups. They're so great for your whole body workout. They get your heart rate up. I don't know about you guys, I'm already starting to sweat. The long sleeve was a bad choice. That's the way it goes sometimes. And I think at this point in time in my career, my leaders have all just accepted the fact that sometimes I'm going to come to meetings or events with patients like a little sweaty, you know, I'm just going to be a little sweaty because it's important for me to walk the walk and talk the talk. And I can't ask all of you guys to do this if I'm not willing to do it, right? Keep it going. You're going to love this next one. This is one of my favorite moves. I've learned this recently. And once I learned it, I haven't stopped doing it. So we're going to stay in that squat, little quarter squat, and you're going to rock up onto those toes. So you're going to get into that like you're, I don't know, like you're bouncing on your tippy toes. And you're really going to work those calves. And this one is such a burner. Sink it low, sink it low. A few more seconds here. If I told you we only had 40 seconds left, would you do it? Yeah, let's do it. We're doing awesome. Our last 30 seconds, we're going to switch it over to a little bit of a different move for 3, 2, 1. Let's end with something that feels good. Shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out. Or shake it off. Maybe that's the Taylor Swift song. Okay. Open up those shoulders, open up those hips. Let's go ahead and take a little stretch. So back to our march, back where we started, right? So some single leg balance, but we're just pulling this into a dynamic stretch. So you're working on, right, side-by-side stance. You're welcome to stay on one side a little longer if that feels better. A couple more. And I don't know about you guys, but a little hamstring action, right? We're sitting down in those hips. So I take one foot out in front and kind of drop it in. Feeling the calf. A couple more seconds here. Whatever final stretches are going to make you feel good. For 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Hey, 20 minutes down. Isn't that awesome? You should be so proud of yourselves. I hope you are. All right, let's keep it going. Grab my screen back up here. Ooh, can grab a quick sip of water, towel maybe to dry off. Oh, all right. Back to some facts. Okay, so let's talk about different types of exercise and exercise prescription, because I think at the end of the day, right, a lot of us want to do this. A lot of us think, hey, this is going to be really good for me. I think I can do this, but they just don't know where to start, or they don't know how they can make this work. So we have three different types of exercise categories. So you have your cardio, right, which is going to train your heart and your lungs, right? So anytime we do a cardio type activity, we're going to get our heart rate up. Or sometimes you can do steady state cardio where you get it to an elevated heart rate, but not having it be extreme. And you hold it for a long period of time. That's still cardio. So you're working on the efficiency for your heart to pump blood to deliver that oxygen rich blood to the body. You have stretching, right? One of my faves, which is really just that extensibility of the tissues. So I don't know that you can count stretching as it sits today as a true form of exercise, but it is absolutely a component of a workout that is very valuable, right? So we want to make sure that our tissues are pliable, that they can adapt over stress. And so stretching is a component that we definitely don't want to forget about. And then you have your strength. So strength training is where we typically put our muscles under tension to adapt to the stress that we're putting them on. So there's different ways that we can train our muscular strength, right? So I'm sure most of us have heard that you can lift weights heavy, or you're like, I do lightweight bands. Those are both forms of strength exercises. The difference is the type of training you're doing, right? So there's no wrong way to train. It really just depends on your goals. And so that's where working with a trained professional is super helpful. But the purpose of today's conversation is just finding ways to move your body doing one of these components. So if you like cardio, well, let's find a way to get you 30 minutes of cardio. If you like strength training, whether it's lifting heavy weights or doing light band exercises, or shoot, just lifting your water bottle periodically, these are all different ways that you can train and sprinkle that movement in throughout your day. So there's your descriptors. So when we think about how do we do this, right? How do we meet our goals? Your goal for cardio is to hit 150 minutes a week. So that looks like 30 minutes per day, 5 days a week. So if you take this conversation, for example, and you say, I'm going to go to this talk today, and I'm going to keep my camera off. Who says you can't get 10 minutes of physical activity while you're listening to a talk? I don't know. I don't know. I think sometimes we get it in our heads, and I've been guilty of this, like, oh, I just don't have enough time. I don't have 150 minutes, Eren. Like, right? We don't, because, when we think about sometimes the constraints that we put on to be able to find time to work out or create that time in our schedule, it's, I got to always do it at the gym, or I got to go to the track, or whatever the reason is, whatever the construct in your brain that makes sense to you for a workout, to get exercise, to get physical activity, the time that it takes to do all of the other things around that activity factor in too, right? So it takes time to drive to that facility or location. It takes time to change into our exercise apparel. It takes time to get our playlist set up. And then we got to shower afterwards, right? You're right. If you constitute all of that energy as taking time, then it definitely takes a lot longer than what we want to dedicate to that exercise. But if we can find ways to sprinkle in that activity throughout our day, like, for example, walking a little bit further when you're at the supermarket. So I've started parking, not in the winter because I'm not a winter girl, but in the furthest place that I can get versus parking up close, so that I can get a few extra steps in, right? Or if I'm going to the grocery side of the store, then I park on the non-grocery side of the store, so I know I have to go back and forth several times to get a few extra of those steps. And that's a little bit of a commitment, and it's a little inconvenient at first, but when we think about it being inconvenient for grocery shopping, it's really convenient to get our steps in that day, right? It's really convenient to get 2 extra minutes of walking. And Actually, there's been several studies that have shown that every minute matters. So whether you do 1 minute of activity right now and then 29 minutes later together, that 1 minute still has benefits for your mood, your sleep, your health, your heart, your muscles, your tissues. Regardless if you put it with the other 29 or you do 2 minutes here and 6 minutes there and 8 minutes there, they all matter. They all add up and they all equate to that 30 minutes, which is our kind of target minimum requirement. And I say minimum requirement because it really is the minimum threshold for seeing change. So when you see health benefits, that is the minimum threshold for sustained change. So they've actually proven as well that if you go the range for kind of best practice is up to 300 minutes, beyond 300 minutes of physical activity, right, which would be 5 60-minute workouts during the week, so an hour-long workout each week, people didn't see any more benefits. Not really, it was relative, so there was no statistical significance against the people who worked out 150 minutes a week. I should say 300 minutes. So beyond 300 minutes, let's say you worked 400 minutes, you're like, I did 60-minute workouts. Your benefits are not any different really than someone who worked out 5 60-minute bouts, right? Or you can split that up however you want to. So if you think I did 5 days of 30 minutes and 2 days of 2, like you guys get the idea. The idea is that it's just based on those minutes. Okay. The second part of that is strength, right? So the CDC recently started recommending 2 days of strength per week. And the reason being is because strength is associated more than just with overall like power, right? How much you can lift. When we have muscular strength, it also goes into our balance. And especially as we age and our muscle degenerates over time and our bone density changes over time, strength training can actually help improve those components of your health better than cardio, right? So doing weighted activities like walking and standing and body weight squats and even lifting heavy and those kinds of things actually have benefits to sustaining your health over time. So both are important. So your goal is to hit 2 days per week. They didn't give us a timeline on it. They didn't give us sets and reps on it. I think the idea is that you want to engage multiple muscle groups. So you think your big power drivers, right? You want to use your push-pull exercises, so your squats, your lunges, your rows, your anything that's going to have big muscles in it. So chest, shoulders, back, glutes, legs. Those are going to be great strength exercises. You can probably do a reasonable strength workout in 30 minutes, no problem. There's some great ones online. So I think an important question that I get is, oh, I don't know where to start, right? I don't know what I like. I don't know how to find stuff that makes it really easy for me to do this. So there's three links there at the top, and Sarah's going to make sure you guys have access to these links. But they're just various online resources that you can use to either find workouts. So there's YouTube videos and beyond. So the HuffPost one has 50 different free exercise people that have accumulated all their stuff via the YouTubes and various apps and all sorts of stuff that you say, hey, I'm looking for a 7-minute workout nice, and you can pull it up and just do the workout, right? And it's somebody like I'm doing here today, where just kind of coaching you through it and you're good to go. The bodybuilding one there in the middle is geared more for people who want to create their own routine, that are just looking to build their exercise vocabulary. So after you do this for a while, you say, okay, these are the exercises that I want to do. These are my goals that I want to try to add in here today. Like I'm doing a lower body one or an upper body one. And you're like, I really wish I knew some exercises to work on my shoulders. That's a great resource tool to find exercises for your shoulders, right? So you can kind of pick and choose and make your own routine if that's important to you. And the top one there, I included the nutrition.gov site, is because they have specific workout recommendations for various conditions. So I think it's important that if you are somebody who has diabetes or cardiovascular disease or is XYZ, they have various different opportunities to teach you different workouts that would be valuable to you. And then obviously you can see my references there on the bottom. Okay. All right. So
Yes. I posted
We're
the
gonna,
references. Thank you. And we had a few notes in the chat, Erin. I don't know if you've
yeah.
had a chance to look at that. Uh, let's see. Colleen, you answered this, I believe, but Colleen asked, does cardio activity have to be continuous when it comes to the recommended 30 minutes and 5 days a week?
No, it doesn't. Isn't that so cool? So actually, one of my favorite ways to do cardio, you guys, is actually doing stairs. So there was a stretch where, actually, when I was pregnant, I don't want to go back to that place. Um, but I was like, I need to do my cardio. And so every time I would pee, which is very often when you're pregnant, if you have never been pregnant, I would take like 3 or 4 flights of stairs and I would go use the bathroom on the top floor. And it was a really great way to get your heart rate up, to get those, right, your lymphatic drainage is rolling through, your blood pressure gets raised just for a quick minute to help it stay low. So cardio does not have to be continuous. It can be absolutely like, I ran up a couple flights of stairs and I came back down and I chilled for a little bit and I ran up a few more. Great question. Because sometimes we don't have 30 minutes. I don't know about you guys.
Exactly.
Sometimes that 30 minutes is hard.
Exactly. And I went ahead and posted in the chat to share life examples where they get their steps in, because you had shared your example. And Colleen also answered that she goes for walking breaks. So for her 15-minute break, she'll go around the walk or around her outside of her office. And obviously, if you do it twice, that's 30 minutes right there.
I love it. And one of the simplest ways, I think, I love to, thank you so much for your question. Finding ways that make it easy for you to get physical activity without thinking about it, right? So again, like parking a little bit further away. If you get to work a little bit early, maybe you park on the other side of the building, because that's twofold, right? Then you have to walk all the way to your building from one spot, but then when you leave at the end of the day, you got to all the way back. So back when I parked in the parking garage, I'd always park on the top floor, even if I was running late, because it was important to me that at the end of my day, it would force me into like, okay, I just got to take the stairs and I got to walk these extra couple of laps to get there. Sarah, is there any other questions?
I had just personally posted that I get my steps in when I walk my dog. So I count those minutes.
Yeah, my toddler really helps me get my steps. I convinced him that going for walks is like an activity. And so every day he's like, Mama, we got to go for our walk. And I'm like, oh, do we? But it's, it's those reminders that, then I'm still, but I don't say that to him because I want to instill in him that physical activity is fun, that it is engaging, and rewrite that script that I think so many of us, that narrative that we have, that exercise is punishment. Exercise is bad. Exercise is something we have to do. Exercise is something we get to do, right?
Yeah.
Physical activity makes us feel good. It makes us sleep better. It makes us eat better, right? It makes our mood better. And so how can we find ways to rewrite that narrative so that we want to do it, right? When I'm angry, I'm like, bye, bye team. I got to go for a walk. I got to get out. I got to get out. Love it.
Yeah, I love that. It's an opportunity and it's important to see it as that to make it work. There's another comment that one of our attendees is on the 6th floor of the St. Luke's Plaza, and we have taken the no elevator pledge, always walking up the stairs and down. Awesome.
Oh, I love it. If you guys ever want, if you don't have a champion, let's get one. We worked as a team. Obviously, there's fun ways that you can add this into your day or your work way and make it fun. But our goal was to hit so many flights of stairs as a team, and we broke it down so that if everyone did like 10 flights of stairs during the day, that we would eventually hit our goal for the month. And so every day we'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna let my team down. I got to go get my 10 flights. And so do things like, okay, if I just go down to the cafeteria for lunch and come back up, I hit 12. So I make up those 2 for somebody that didn't have time in their day or just couldn't prioritize that for the moment. And that's totally cool. So there's super fun ways that you can definitely do it. Sarah, is there any more questions? Because if not,
No,
we could stretch it down for a few minutes.
let's do it.
Okay, well, how about we just do a simple 5 minutes? So if you guys want to join me in this last few minute stretch here, I hope there was some tips and tricks that you found meaningful and valuable, and maybe some foundational what behind the whys or whys behind the whats. So let's start nice and easy. standing in our space, rolling the shoulders, right? Any sort of disorganized movement, just letting out the rest of that little chaos. Taking those hands up overhead, reaching high out of that center, reaching, and go ahead and take a nice big forward fold, plunging forward, letting the head hang again heavy. We've been here before, it's familiar. And then this time I want you to kind of walk your back out. So as if you're going to give yourself a big bear hug, maybe swaying side to side. Just kind of noticing the tension in your low back, especially if you've joined us for our squats. You might notice that things are a little tight, and that's okay. Kind of noticing, and you're going to slowly start to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Let's take a big step forward. So we're going to start to sit into this stretch. So I did this one earlier as a dynamic kind of warm up, if you will, for our hamstrings. This time I want to do it more as a working effort. So you're welcome to take this on the ground. If you have a chair that's not on wheels or a bench or a step, you can always take this elevated. I wouldn't go higher than hip height, but a little bit lower is okay. And you can start to just open up the hips and rotate through the center. So if you're taking this on the ground, it looks like just a simple twist in the body. Just noticing, kind of feeling those hamstring. You can also just turn your heel, your foot a little bit in and out, and that's going to change the direction of those fibers in the back of that hamstring. And go ahead and sit in it a little bit deeper. Maybe breathing into it. Go ahead and switch sides. Then trying not to judge if your hamstrings are super tight, if our calves is always a limiting factor for me. You can always take a soft knee bend. And that's going to isolate that hamstring a little more. And again, there's nothing wrong with holding on to something. You know, I hear from staff members all the time, I wish I could work out more. And don't get me wrong, I love to go for a good workout. I wish I had all the time in the world every day to go and hang out at the gym and do those things. But the reality is that our lives don't allow us to do that sometimes. So we have to find ways to still meet our needs and our goals. Go ahead and open up those shoulders. This time we're going to sit in this one a little bit longer. If you have a doorway or a wall, I'm going to chair here over. It's a great opportunity to always deepen these stretches. So opening up the chest, kind of rotating away. You can take that hand lower or higher if you're in a door frame. It's one of my favorite doorway stretches, or my favorite, because you can change the direction of those fibers from the pec that you're pulling. It feels so good. And switch sides. Now, when we are stretching, you got to be over 2 minutes for it to be changing your actual flexibility, right, to make those tissues longer. However, 30 seconds is where you start seeing the benefits. So our goal is to hold that for, about the 30-second mark. It's kind of breathing some oxygen into it, never to the point of pain. So if you're doing an activity or a stretch or a movement and you say, ooh, that hurts, that's a great opportunity to find something else that doesn't. And go ahead and take those hands behind. Again, maybe dropping the chin to the chest. Great opportunity to feel that stretch on the posterior side of the body. Maybe you close your eyes and you lift your head up to the center, letting the hands hang heavy and taking a nice deep breath in. Maybe you bring your hands to your heart space today and allowing you to feel some gratitude for moving your body here today, right? Our bodies are amazing. They're absolutely incredible. And even if they don't always look the way that we want them to look per society's standards, one of my favorite quotes that I've read recently that I'd like to leave you with is, even if we all exercised and work out and ate exactly the same, we would all still look different. And when I read that, that really, really resonated with me, because like, even when you do everything right, you're still not going to look like somebody else, and that's your superpower. And so honoring the way that your body is and showing up for your body the way that it is now is really, really beautiful. And so finding ways to give yourself that love. So thank you guys so much for moving with me here today. Thank you for your thoughtful questions. Thank you for being present and taking time out of your day to come and move with me. And I think you only have about 5 to 10 minutes to make up on your own to hit your 30 minutes for today. So I hope that you have another meeting in which you can sneak in some extra physical activity without even thinking about it.